can find the right tab. Oop, wrong one. There we go. So what I'm looking at right now is BIM 360 plan, and I'm in a hospital data set. So what I'm actually looking at right now is the list view of all the different tasks in a specific time frame. So I'm saying that I'm looking at the current 6-week time, and right now I'm looking at everything. I can see the status, I can see the crew size that's been set up, the handoffs, location, and maybe what I'd like to do is I want to actually see what's going on and how things are related. So I'm just going to take a look at the sim lane. I can see my dates, my weeks, and I want to look at the areas that relate to me. So I'm going to focus on a specific company. So let's say I'm going to say AAA Builders. Oh, helps if I pick a company that actually is doing work this week. There we go. Which one? There we go. So right now I've just filtered this down to focus on just my company's work. I can see the things that I have said I've committed to. I can take actions on this, edit this, move it, or copy it. If this is actually doing well, I can say, you know what, we're able to do that earlier. We can start before that. I can hop into this and make changes if need be. I can also say that, you know what, there's a roadblock that has to happen before this. And once this is finished, I'm going to have a handoff to something else, and I can put notes on this that this is actually dependent on supplies being ordered. And I can modify my status as need be. If need be, I can hop into my Gantt chart and actually start to draw those dependencies. So I can say that once this happens, let's draw that down here. I can tie those things together. That's really as easy as it is. So rather than having people sit there with sticky notes, having somebody have to go through and then catalog all that information, and then actually be able to get that out to everybody, I make a change here, and then that change is immediately available to somebody else out here in the field, or somebody else out in the room. You can have 3 or 4 people in the room all working on iPads, anything with a web browser, and understanding what's happening on the project. And they can all be focused either on their company, the location of the project that they're actually a part of, and they can actually see the information within this project how they need. So rather than having that, all those people try to do that work and then have a couple of administrative people tracking it, it's all being done once and it's available. And then the people out in the field are actually focused on managing the work and getting it done as opposed to managing documents. They look at the work, they say, is that finished? Yes, I'm going to say that that's actually complete. Activity's been marked as complete. Done, moving on. And it really is that easy and that fast. This will automatically synchronize to the cloud every few minutes. And if I want to synchronize it faster, I hit on that button, say Start Sync, done. Doesn't like it when it's on GoToMeeting though. Now, from there I can easily track all this information. If I do need to archive this data, I can easily print it out too. So that way there's a static screenshot of this is where we were at this point in time. I can bring in my information from other standpoints as well. So if you are using Primavera, Project, or Excel, I can always import those activities to streamline that process. But the big one here is going to be our reports. So when we're looking at this from a standpoint of making our project more financially stable, being able to track and see where problems are coming from, I can actually see all the data here. I can look into my root causes and find out, okay, well, what's the primary cause that we're running into? So right now I'm looking at this specific time frame. I could actually tell it to look for a much larger time frame. I could tell it to look for the entirety of the entire project. I can then dial into this and say, okay, well, what is the company or activity that caused that warning? So if I actually make this time frame much larger, I can actually see exactly what's going on and say, okay, well, these are the problems that we run into. This is the company that's run into those problems. And then we can start to understand, okay, well, how are we getting here? Why is this happening? And if I'm trying to see where we are from a % project complete, I've got my regular summary. And again, I can dig into this from any time period. I can select areas and then zoom in on this and get an idea of where we went wrong or what happened that week. And this is more especially effective when I'm looking at my project activity. Right now I'm looking at all the different elements, what things are incomplete versus complete, what's been committed, what's my backlog. So if I look at a couple of week look ahead and a couple of week behind, I zoom in, say, okay, well, everything that's complete, that's good. Let me focus on the things that aren't. So these are the things that are committed to happen. These are all the things that are either backlogged or open, or were incomplete during that time frame. So I can very quickly get a quick look into my project. I can start to use these reports to start to create cost containment and figure out where is my money going? Why are we running into these problems? Is it always the same reason? Is it always the same company? So you can actually better understand what's happening versus what was planned to happen. So each of these features are going to help you work smarter, more efficiently. You're going to have much less paperwork moving around, much less administration overhead, because people are actually putting in the data themselves, and then that data is immediately available to everybody else. The people out in the field, they're going off of the most accurate information, and the people who are managing the project or overseeing the project, they have the data that they need to sort of plan ahead and see what's been going on so that they can work out the budget and ensure an on-time delivery of a project. It's one of those tools that is deceptively simple to use, but incredibly powerful in terms of what it does for a project team. And it's designed to be used by people who are usually already familiar with a lean production environment. So anybody who's already done that, the software itself is very simple to work with. You know, if you've never done lean before, it might take a few minutes or a little bit to get used to the terminology or how you organize things. But once you're there, it's web-based, it's accessible anywhere, and you can pick up and roll with it. So let's look at what we were talking about. So from terms of planning tools, a lot of people are still using the analog setup. They're using planning boards, sticky notes, markers, and it's very user-friendly. It's easy to work with, but it's problematic because it introduces the opportunity for mistakes. So maybe somebody can't read somebody else's handwriting. Maybe somebody, when they write it into the Primavera or whatever else they're using to archive that data, doesn't actually show up right. Or they're taking photographs of the wall, but things get very fuzzy when they zoom in. Then we start looking at desktop tools. Spreadsheets can have a lot of powerful automation. The problem is not everybody has access to the information, not everybody understands it, and it's not really useful for a lot of the people in the field. You kind of have to simplify things. It's also only available on the desktop. That's kind of where the cloud tools come in. It's available and accessible to everybody. Any updates you make, instantly available for everybody who's access on that. You can track all of your commitments. You can ensure that what people say they're going to do actually gets done, and everybody else can see where everyone else is. So that way they can ensure that their work is tied to everyone else's and it all works out correctly. And then from there, again, you've got your metrics, or tracking. It's all real time. Every time somebody makes a change, it's all tracked. And it builds in the accountability that comes with this style of planning.